more work now, but it's been a very long, hard, slow road for them, I think.
Yeah.
Slightly different these days, changing.
Yes.
What was it like doing the voice of a pilot?
It was great. I was given 2 jobs.
Did you have an audition for it? Or
Yes, I did. And I was blessed. And so it meant when I wasn't working on Crace that I would be doing pilot every episode. So for that reason it was good.
2 paychecks?
Yeah.
I remember you originally auditioned for Dark, didn't you?
Yes.
Now that they both died, now that you wrote this, who would you prefer in that scene?
I'll stand by Crace any day. You know, is that what you say?
Yeah, just which that's that scene, which way would you prefer to be on? If you could go back and you can influence which role you got. That scene, which would you prefer?
The death scene.
Yeah, Crace. You know, that moment where it says starburst.
Yeah.
That's classic. That's a classic cult moment.
So is that the line that if somebody says to you, can you just give us a line from Ozscape? Is that the one that springs to mind?
For
Any line, if someone asks you, just give me any line out of Ozscape, is that the one that pops into your head that you spoke?
well, for pilot it would be Commander Crichton, starburst. Pilot.
And what about you, Linda? Is there something that you said that if someone said, you know, give us a line, is there one that pops into
I think I said "Mommy's back" or something like that. Something like that. That was pretty good fun with the gun. Cool.
Yeah. Yes, just on the Starburst line, having had all the history of Craze and the training of Crichton and so on, and being really, the nasty guy for most of the series, in that final Talon Starburst, do you feel that was really the essential Craze coming out? That's what he really started to outlet on his peacekeeper career, or I mean, sort of sacrificed himself to help everyone else escape, that sort of.
Well, yes, it was always. I mean, one thing about Crace is that he was a brilliant military strategist. And I remember having a conversation with one of the writers, and there was a possibility that could have gone further, but it didn't eventuate that way. So, but as a moment, yeah, that was the ultimate. Yes. Yes.
On Ozscape, you both got to compete in fight scenes and whatnot. What were your favourite fight scenes and why?
My favourite fight scenes? Oh, there was a number of fight scenes. I mean, I remember having a great fight scene with Claudia in Talon.
That was good.
And that was great, you know, slapping her around. Knocking some sense into her, you know.
We do that one all the time. And Linda?
Yeah, they're tricky fight things because you know they're all so technically broken down, shot by shot by shot by shot. They're quite hard, but the hard, kind of more difficult than that, I think for me, was we had to do, when I first arrived there, and I'm with the 2 aliens in the, I don't know what they're called, but they're in the whole.
The pina coladas.
We had this set where it was very dark, very low lighting. We had like wood chips on the floor and a lot of dry ice and smoke, so it made the floor really greasy. There must be something in it that makes it really slippery. So underfoot it was so slippery, very dark, lots of vines and trees in the way, and these poor guys in these suits, one of whom was actually wearing a suit that wasn't made to fit him, and it was too small for him, so he couldn't really see properly, and it was incredibly hot. And just to throw another thing into the mix, we had a Steadicam operator in front of us going backwards through all this nightmare and falling over, and that was really, really hard. That was really difficult to try and maintain that kind of menacing thing. That was really, and fight scenes are like that because they're really technical, because you're having to hit marks and slide on the ground and hold that and then match that to something else. You know, they're quite, they're not really fun, they're difficult, you know? Like a lot of, it's really great when you just get to be an actor and do the scene. Instead of, you know, hanging off jibs and falling down things and hitting marks in the middle of nowhere and running around the floor and sliding and people can't breathe and see it. Just making it all look, you know.
And it's even more difficult when you've got a blue screen behind you as well.
Yeah.
There's nothing behind you but a blue screen, or
Yeah.
a green screen, and you know, there you are. You know?
Yeah.
It's
At the end of the choice, when Starlight falls over and Anne grabs her, like when you were falling back, was there like a huge gap between where you were falling? Like were you falling onto some mattresses or something?
Yeah. I fell onto some mattresses, and then we had a big setup where, apropos this blue screen. Everyone know about blue screen? Yeah. They rigged up. I think they would call it a jib that I was kind of attached to, and we had to get the coat sort of propped open so it looked like I was falling. And then I'm falling on this jib, which had a blue screen underneath me, so I'm kind of lying parallel to the floor. And then I guess they digitise out the jib, then they impose me falling, so you see me going out the window, and then you see Erin, and then I fall onto the thing, and then they cut in this shot when they digitalise in all this stuff. But yeah, it's like Lani was saying, you're kind of going, and you're kind of balancing on this jib, and yeah, it's not really acting. It's kind of, I don't know what it is, but
guess what? I know, but I have one question. Some years ago, I was talking to, I think it was John Delancey, and he said that sci-fi is the closest that you will ever get to doing Shakespeare on TV because it allows you to go into a world that no other medium does. As actors, what do you two think of that?
well, you know, I've never really thought about that, but it's kind of interesting because sci-fi is very much about, you know, this sort of primeval kind of the dark and the light and vengeance and goodness, and yeah, kind of in a way they are those mythic kind of things that Shakespeare very much deals with. I hadn't thought that's kind of true. It's certainly a lot closer to Shakespeare than soap operas, so yeah, it's got a point.
I think what he was talking about was in terms of acting style. That,
in terms of acting style.
The ability to go so much larger, so much bigger, which Shakespeare requires of actors, as opposed to, say, normal stage to possibly Shakespeare. And that's what he was referring to. It's the only time you'll ever get to do something as sort of like imaginative as Shakespeare in TV is when you do a decent sci-fi, and he stressed decent.
Right.
I knew that it, you know, Farscape needed an intensity which wasn't, which you don't see in shows of like Star Trek. This was a completely different show. It was darker in its mood, and therefore it allowed us actors to actually rise up to the occasion and play it that intense. The most difficult thing was I think at the initial stages, the first season of Farscape were actors coming in playing the support roles. They weren't too sure what style to play it in. And we were really right into it and playing it really like Shakespearean text. Great big themes in there. And they weren't too sure where to pitch their performance until they'd actually seen some episodes of what we were working with. And then they went, okay, we can allow ourselves to go that far. And then the directors also knew what style they were playing with as well. It takes a while. If you could have a lead up in a film to not only rehearse but to shoot some stuff, you know, 3 or 4 weeks before you actually begin shooting the film, then you'd have a different film right from the beginning. With a television show, if you could have that luxury, it would be wonderful, but you don't. You literally, you're hired, you've got to read through within the week, costume and all of that. You talk about some kind of style that you're working with.